everybody, I'm Dusk. Welcome to Realm of the Sacred Roots. Well, I wanted to talk to you today about a previous video that I did on Moloch Chose Me. I had a subscriber make a comment on that video and I wanted to address it today. I figured others might have a similar comment or question, so let's address it. The subscriber said, Moloch does not choose. Moloch simply devours without compensation for your soul. You choose to be devoured by an entity that has a power deficiency. So let's break this down into two parts. Let's break it down into the first part. Moloch does not choose. So, depending on your background, your upbringing, the way you were raised, and your religious background, you may or may not believe that entities can choose. Entities are like us in the way that they can choose. They can make a choice on who they want to work with and who they don't. And I'm not talking about putting a spirit in a bottle and making it work for you, putting a spirit to work for you. The majority of spirits, they choose to work with you or they don't. There are plenty of reasons why they would or wouldn't want to work with you. There are probably way too many to count. But I wanted to say that I believe the majority don't care. I think the spirit world is different than the physical world. And I think a lot of things that we see in the physical world that we would take into account, most of the time spirits don't have those hangups. They don't have those blocks. So in the kind of way we would in our physical body. So I would say that. Second of all, to give you an example, I would say just let's just say my background was initially raised as I was raised as a Christian. So if I or if I wanted to work with an entity that was a goddess, and let's say Christianity puts a label on this deity or goddess as a demon, and let's just say the entity doesn't want to be seen as a demon or doesn't appreciate that viewpoint, that spirit or goddess may not want to work with me if that's how they perceive Christians or people who had that type of background might perceive that goddess. They might not want to be considered a demon. This is just one example. Also, what if you have a higher self who, let's just say, is on some type of spiritual council? That because obviously there are hierarchies in the spirit world, and there are plenty of different councils and groups within the spirit world. If your higher self, let's just say, sits on some type of council and doesn't see eye to eye with another entity, let's say I wanted to work with that entity, maybe without even knowing that my higher self doesn't do well with that other entity, and I go to approach that entity and they have no intentions of working with me because that entity and my higher self don't quite get along. There are plenty of reasons why, if you were to approach a deity or an entity, that a spirit, that they might not want to work with you. Have you ever approached a spirit wanting to work with them and then realize you get the cold shoulder or you get a weird feeling? It doesn't quite feel like it meshed right. There's a reason for that. There are plenty of reasons, just like my grandmother who used to work with and give honor to Kali. Kali just would so happens to be easier for me to connect with and work with. But what if your ancestors dishonored a spirit? Do you think you would be so easily able to work with that spirit? No. So I just wanted to give those few examples of entities being able to choose who they work with and who they don't work with. Of course, they can choose somebody. That's just how that works. The second part I wanted to address of this subscriber's comment had it having to do with um, basically some type of punishment almost or price that you would have to pay for working with this demon. Um, Again, this goes back to your upbringing as far as I'm concerned. This goes back to how you see things, how you saw things, what you were told, and how you were actually raised up. I want to get these notes here together to make sure I get all of my points in that I wanted to bring up. It just depends, right? It just depends on how you were raised. Do you believe that you can be punished, that your soul can be devoured by a spirit that you work with? Um, it's possible, right? If you were raised in that sort of setting, that could you could believe that. And to a certain extent, sure. You would have to be somewhat silly to not believe that there's not a price to pay for working with some entities. It is a balance. It is a give and take. I don't think I could sit there and simply take from spirits all day long and there's not some sort of I hate to use the word consequence. It almost sounds a little harsh, but there's got to be some type of give and take. There's a cost for anything. I don't believe anything is for free. There are people who do healings. There are healers out there who I believe sometimes pay a cost, even if it's a sickness within their own bodies, because a lot of times we funnel things through us, even though there's a proper way and not a proper way to do it. There's still sometimes there's residue. Sometimes there's a repercussion for things, even though it wasn't. We don't intend for it to be that way. Sometimes healers and spiritualists pay a cost for that. It's the same as someone who might dive into the occult and they dive in too deep. The effects are they end up using drugs. Same with possibly shamans. Some spirit workers. I mean, sometimes you'll end up getting madness. Some people go mad. They do go crazy sometimes. Pe- there are certain people who will dive into the spirit world and they will get knowledge and wisdom and power. All of this is at a cost. All of this is at a cost. Your decision, your choice is now what is the price you're willing to pay for what amount of information, for how much wisdom you're about to receive. That's the kicker. That's where the balance is. I don't know of anyone who's dived really deep into the occult or into some type of wanting some type of knowledge, ancient wisdom, and they don't expect to pay a price. There's always a price. Every spirit has a motive and has an agenda, whether it's for good or whether it's for bad, whatever side you think they might fall on, they all have their own agendas. They all have their own motives. So I just wanted to lay some of that knowledge on you, for all of you, especially for the gentleman, the person who made the comment on there. Of course, spirits choose. They all make a choice, just like we make a choice. I have made a choice to go down a certain path and to work with certain spirits in order to gain particular things. So nobody's fooling themselves here. And this is just part of what we do. Now, some people might sit back and watch these videos and try to gain knowledge without having to make certain contracts, pay certain prices, use their blood in certain, let's say, blood magic, use sex magic. Some people would rather sit back and collect the information that myself and other spirit workers are willing to go in deep for and get, and then harvest that wisdom and use it for themselves. And that's okay. I did that for a little while, but I want to be in on the ground floor and I'm willing to pay the price that I end up paying for the amount of wisdom and knowledge and power that I receive. And it's a fine line. Depending on your upbringing, it's a fine line on what you believe in. Do you believe in a heaven and a hell? Do you believe in good and evil and angels and demons? Do you believe that your soul could be snatched away? What do you believe in? And so anyways, I wanted to at least bring this up so that other people can think about it and know that most of us who have been doing this for a while, most of us who work with these spirits are aware that there's always a price to pay. There always is. The question is how far are you willing to go to get the wisdom, the knowledge, the power that you want to get in this lifetime, and what cost are you willing to pay? That's the real question. Then you can ask yourself, why did a certain spirit choose you? And why did you choose it? And which ones didn't choose you? If that's what interests you. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. I always enjoy the comments. I don't always have to agree with the comments, but it just lets me know you're watching, and I'll keep putting out more great videos. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys next time.